Welcome to This Indulgent Life, the podcast, with me, Mary Cook, and this is episode number 14. Today on This Indulgent Life, we are speaking with Megan from Going Crunchy, Not Crazy about how we can stay healthy, eat better, and manage illness while traveling. So stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of This Indulgent Life, where together wanderlusting families navigate respectful parenting, education, and fulfilling our dreams of having an extraordinary life through travel. We believe that life shouldn't just be an obligation, and that the American dream isn't the same for everyone. We believe that life should be an indulgence, so cherished and enjoyed. And the best way to do that is through enjoying experiences together, following our hearts. May you be inspired to do the same. Welcome back. I just want to thank you so much for tuning in. This has been an amazing run of episodes and interviews so far, and I really hope you're getting as much out of it as I am by doing it. I love doing these interviews, and this one is no exception. If you want to keep updated with everything that's going on in my travels and other people's travels, join the Facebook community at Family Travel and Adventure Tribe with This Indulgent Life. I would love to have you there and to talk with you and hear all about your experiences traveling, and maybe you have some tips on staying healthy too. Love to hear them. Again, you can find all of the links today at thisindulgentlife.com/14. That's 14. Again, thisindulgentlife.com/14. Please be sure as well to leave an honest review and rating in iTunes if you haven't already. And if you have, thank you so much. I love hearing all feedback. And if you're on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe to YouTube and then leave a comment below. Really just want to learn more from you guys, learn what you want and need, and then give that to you. So let's get to it. So a little bit about Megan. Megan is a former registered nurse turned hippie mom of 2 little girls. After struggling with and eventually overcoming an autoimmune disorder, naturally, she turned her focus to helping other young women and new moms take control of their health. That's big, guys. Megan left her job in traditional medicine and started a holistic living consulting practice where she detoxes homes and environments and speaks around the country on natural living and wellness. In addition to her own blog, Going Crunchy, Not Crazy, she has written for sites such as Healthline, Scary Mom, and Romper. Megan has been a featured speaker at events such as MommyCon Orlando and Bump to Baby Nashville. So maybe you've already seen her. Her podcast, Going Crunchy, Not Crazy, focuses on the science behind the alternative things she does so that you too can go crunchy without going crazy. So please join me in welcoming Megan Whitaker from Going Crunchy, Not Crazy. All right, welcome Megan from Going Crunchy, Not Crazy. I'm so excited that you're here with us today to help us learn all about healthy living as well as healthy traveling. So thank you for joining us.
Of course, I'm so excited to be here.
So can you go ahead and just start us off? Tell us a little bit about who you are, what Going Crunchy, Not Crazy is, and how you travel with your family.
Absolutely. So my name is Megan Whitaker. I am a former registered nurse turned crunchy hippie mom of 2, and I struggled for a really long time with an autoimmune disorder and was able to cure myself naturally. So after that situation, I decided to leave nursing, and now I stay home full time and work with families who want to transition to a natural lifestyle. And I travel quite a bit with my family and my 2 little ones because we live quite a long way away from all of our family members. So beyond just being kind of crazy hippies who like to go camping, which we do quite a bit, we also just have to travel to see people. And that's kind of how it started. We had to go on long plane rides and long drives with little kids, which if you've done it, and I know you have, it's always an adventure.
I totally understand living far away and then like all your vacations end up being just to go see family and whatnot. So
Yes.
hopefully, I like the fact that you guys get to go camping though. At least you get those little maybe weekend trips and things. And are you
Yeah.
guys like full on tent campers, like in the middle of nowhere, or are you guys like RV campground kind of people, somewhere in the middle?
So my husband is a full like sleep on the ground camper. He was a surfer and he did backcountry hiking, camping before me. I'm a little bit more middle ground simply because of the girls. We have a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old,
Oh wow.
and I'm just not there with them yet. So like for our anniversary, when our girls were 2.5 and 4 months old or 5 months old, we actually went to Mammoth Cave,
Wow.
and they have a really amazing setup. They have some of the really old cabins that are just like, when you think of like classic cabin camping, like bare bones, it's a little box. And they have like a dozen of them that you can camp in, and the entire park shuts down at night. Nobody is there except for these dozen, camps, and it's like a 50,000-acre park, so you're really out in the middle of nowhere. It's beautiful. So we did that when they were very, very, very young, and that was the closest that we've come to out in the stars camping, at least with the babies.
Yeah, I've heard of Mammoth Cave, and it's definitely on my bucket list because I hear that is a pretty amazing experience over there. But I didn't know they
It's
had
incredible.
cabins. So
So
that,
they have a hotel. They have an old hotel from like the 20s and 30s, like at the height of
wow.
that era of
Yeah.
travel. And then they have these really, really old 100-year-old cabins, and then you can camp too. They have
Yeah.
campgrounds, but it's really neat. The cabins are a lot of fun, but the Mammoth Cave is incredible because there's nothing like it in the world. It's like 100 times longer than any cave system anywhere on the planet.
Wow. I didn't know that. And did you get to go through there with the girls? Did they do okay with the dark spaces and everything?
We did. Mammoth Cave is great because there's a lot of like little bitty, kind of sketchy areas, but the entrances to Mammoth Cave are mammoth. I mean, that's why it's called that. They're hundreds of feet high and hundreds of
Wow.
feet long. So it's really like being in a giant cavern.
Yeah.
And so it's really beginner friendly, especially for babies. So we didn't do any of the really extreme stuff with them, but they did great with what we did do.
Did you do stroller or carry them?
Oh, I wrap them all the way.
Yeah. Okay. I wondered, just do you think people who are stroller people could do strollers and
I don't think they let you bring strollers because
Okay.
you have to go down about 100 steps
Oh,
to
wow.
get down to the entrance.
Okay.
Once you get in there, it's very walkable and very easy. But to get into the large entrance, you have to go down quite a bit.
Okay, good to know. We were mostly carry, but my son refuses pretty much all of that now. So
Yeah, in Disney World, we were stroller all the way. Like, we went to Disney for a week, and I was like, I'm not wearing you around Disney. Like, you're getting in
No.
a stroller, you can take a nap.
my son just wants to walk now. Like he doesn't.
Oh,
Yeah, he
that'll
may
be
be in a
nice.
stroller for about 5-10 minutes, and then the rest of it is he just wants to walk. So we have a little backpack leash, because he's all about that. And when he doesn't need the leash part, we just drape it over the back, and he just goes on his way. But
So nice.
he's a little independent sort. All right, there we go. All right, so could you tell us a little bit about the origins of Going Country Not Crazy? What do you do exactly? How did it get started? A little bit more in depth, I guess, than the intro.
Absolutely. So, my health journey is quite long, but the kind of short version is I had an autoimmune disorder for many years. I had chronic pain, and I had a career before I went back to nursing school. So I graduated from college and I worked, and I got very, very sick young, about 22. I got really
Wow.
sick and I was sick for several years. And I went to nursing school kind of thinking that I was going to cure myself and like find the answer as a nurse. And I ended up um, getting a doctor who had prescribed me some herbs. He was an older Indian doctor. He was just incredible. He was a super traditional physician, but he had grown up in India where they used a lot of spices.
Yeah.
And he gave me ginger and turmeric. And it was supposed to really be for to protect my stomach and some of the inflammation from the how strong the medicine was that they were giving me for
Mm.
my pain. And I found that that actually helped quite a bit more than my pain medication. And I was able to come off of the pain medication and increase the herbs. And that's when what I call fell down the crunchy rabbit hole. Because I was the most like normal standard American diet. Like I ate like 12 foods and none of them were green. I drank, I don't even know how many cans of soda a day. Like I was so typical. I did not exercise at all, even a little. I was not healthy. I mean, people who know me now that also knew me then are shocked because my lifestyle now is extremely different. But the more I did in the crunchy rabbit hole, the better I got. And I completely changed my diet. I went to a it's called Weston A. Price, but it's like paleo-ish. It's like
Mm.
it's very similar to paleo. It's an ancient traditional kind of diet. So a lot of grass-fed meat, a lot of fat, a
Yeah.
lot of fat, a lot of bone broth and things like that, and traditionally like sourdough and things, stuff that your great great grandmother would have eaten, basically. And that got me 75% there. I was in much better shape and felt much better. I was still having flares. I was still nursing. I was still taking some medication. And as I got deeper, I started finding other things, environmental type health issues, and got really into the science behind it and started digging into the research because I was a nurse. I loved research,
Yeah.
found some really good science about plastics and VOCs and chemicals, and I just decided to get rid of everything. I completely changed my environment, everything that I was using, all my beauty products. I had been in the makeup industry for many years, and I worked in special effects with chemicals and latex
Yeah.
and things like that. And I got rid of everything. And then all of a sudden, the rest of the 25% went away, and I have been completely pain free for 7 years. I had two natural childbirths with no medication at all through either pregnancy or birth, and I've never had another flare. So
Wow.
I loved nursing because I love patient education and I really do love science. But after my daughter was born, I wanted to stay home
Mm.
and I decided that I would focus on educating other moms and other young women who were going through similar things to me and didn't really want it to take two college degrees, two careers, and 10 years. So
Want to
that's
shorten
what
that
I do
down a little.
now. Yeah, it was so hard for me to find the information. And it really did take, I don't know how many doctors, I don't know how many colleagues, two degrees and multiple careers in a decade. So I now go into people's homes and help them switch out environmental issues. So I go into kitchens and take out all the nonstick and all of the Teflon and all of the like the water pollutants. We filter water, we filter air. I go into bathrooms, we get rid of all of the products with parabens and crud in it and deal with mold. And there are so many great people out there that do, you know, exercise routines and things like that. And like that's their jam. And my jam is getting your body as clean as possible from your environment. So that is what going crunchy, not crazy is because I was in the medical field and everybody thought I had lost my mind. And I wanted to prove to them that there's good science behind what it is that I'm
Yeah.
doing.
And I think I I'm a more low carber, so I for my body I carbs typically are the enemy. Doesn't mean I'm always 100% there. I try to do more like 90-10.
Yeah.
But when I am more fully on it with the high fats, the vegetables, I definitely can feel less pain. I get less headaches. I have less inflammation. In fact, like I was off of it for a while due to budget. And at one point I was just like, I cannot do this anymore. I have got to get back on because I'm in so much pain all the time. And it definitely cut back. Like even, my sciatica was less, my plantar fasciitis was less, like my headaches were less, just everything gets better when you just change a little bit of, just even tiny changes, a little bit of changes will help a long way. I'll have to definitely, as we build the RV up, we'll have to keep those kinds of things in mind as well. The no Teflon, no stick, or no non-stick pans are going to be what's hard for me because I can't cook on the other stuff.
There's a couple of really good hacks around that, and I can help you do that. There's some really good nonstick options that aren't traditional chemical nonstick, like ceramic is an awesome option, and some of the greenware pans. Like you can fry an egg, no problem. Not Teflon, nonstick.
I know
And I mean, I have my cast irons, and like I've gotten my cast irons to a point where I can make eggs on cast iron, but you can do it other ways too.
My husband would love that. My husband loves cast iron, so we'll probably have to have at least one cast iron in the RV. But they're so heavy that I have to watch the weight.
They are so heavy. We have probably a dozen cast iron pans, and we're moving across the country in 2 months. And I've been trying to figure out, I was like, okay, do I sacrifice one of my pans? Do I not? Because I have a lot of cast iron, and it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking of is like my Tupperware stuff. I'm like, oh, I really should go glass or something, but it's so heavy. I'm like constantly battling. You can also
go silicone. Yeah, silicone. You can also go silicone. Silicone has like reusable snack bags and things that work really, really well. I'm definitely get rid of your plastic. You can do it. I can help you. It'll be fine.
We'll have to make weight. We'll have to sacrifice some other areas for weight, I guess.
Well, the silicone is the same weight as the plastic, so don't worry about that.
But do they have like actual tubs, like actual?
You can get big silicone,
containers?
You can get big silicone guys, yeah.
Okay, well, yeah,
we can make it happen.
I gotta buy all new anyway, so I might as well start off right.
Absolutely. I think that's the biggest challenge for people. People are like, I have to get rid of everything, and you don't. There's really easy ways to start slow and build up too.
Yeah.
If you're not starting over.
I like the idea. Yeah, I'm starting over. So for me, guys, like I'm totally rebuilding an RV. There's literally nothing to start with, so I'm gonna try to make it. Because I've thought it's a balance between budget and that, right? So and weight. There's multiple things to balance. So, but I'm trying to make it a little bit more healthy, less toxins and things. Thinking about like insulation, like using sheep wool insulation for part of it, maybe, and things like that. So, we're looking into some options. What we end up doing, we'll see, but. Definitely on my mind because I want my son to grow up in a much healthier environment than I did, and I am. I don't want him dealing with the issues that I've had because we didn't know things, right? Like we just did. So.
Well, and even now, I mean, what our kids are going to grow up in is significantly more toxic than what even we did, and yeah.
Another reason we're trying to do more outdoor stuff, more being in nature and
Absolutely.
Things like that. Try to give them a little bit of help. All right, so let's focus more on the actual travel aspect now. I know one of your areas of expertise is around staying healthy while traveling. Could you maybe give us like 3 to 5 major tips on how to have a healthier travel experience?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest problems, or something that you hear about a lot, is what they call the letdown effect. So you'll go on vacation. If you've ever heard anybody say, like, I always get sick on vacation.
Yes.
That is real. That is not in your head. There are people who always get sick on vacation, and there's a couple of reasons. first, you have kind of the group of people who have significantly increased stress right before vacation, people with
Mm.
high-powered jobs or things where they
Teachers.
are getting everything done. Oh my gosh, they have to get everything in the row. They have to do 18,000 loads of laundry, and you will actually significantly impact your immune system in the few days leading up to a trip by lack of sleep or increased stress, trying to get everything accomplished before your trip. That can have a measurable impact on your immune system. So that's one
Wow.
reason. Second reason is that letdown effect where you are going on vacation and you relax and your cortisol comes down. And so there are some things built up, and maybe you've been fighting some things, and your immune system and your body in general has been overcompensating. You finally have a moment,
I
your
finally have a
cortisol
word
comes
for it.
down, and you get sick.
Oh, that is
People get
so what we have.
migraines, you get sinus infections and GI things and like actual viruses and stuff, but people will get panic attacks and all kinds of stuff because their system is no longer overcompensating for the level of stress that they were in. So those are two real scientific things. It is not in your head.
No, man, like as
But
teachers, we say that all the time. We're like, every vacation we just end up sick. Like it's just like we find our body finally relaxes and we finally just get
yes,
sick. So there's an
real.
actual word for it, the letdown
Yes.
effect. All right, so
Yep.
it's not in our head. That makes me feel better.
Yeah. And that does mean that you have to focus a little bit on increasing your immune system, kind of
Okay.
bulking up your immune system, but also focusing on stress reduction before your vacation, which is a little counterintuitive. Like you need to relax before you go and relax. But we're in, this world of chronic stress where you cannot physically only relax in a certain time
Yeah.
frame. It's just not sustainable. So increasing things like vitamin C, super important, especially in the days leading up. And there's actually, people will talk about, take zinc, take this. There's not a ton of evidence for things like zinc and echinacea, but there is actually really good research for elderberry. If you've
Okay.
ever had anybody talk about elderberry syrup, like for the flu, elderberry lozenges, you can get it pre-made. You don't have to make it. A lot of people will make it, but there is really good science to say that can help the immune system and can reduce the number of sick days. So taking that in the days leading up to going out of town and then through a vacation can be really helpful. And then making sure that you're sleeping before you go on your trip.
That'd be the hard one, right?
Yes, that is. I completely recognize that it is difficult, but that is your best bet.
Okay.
So know those things that it is not in your head. Another thing is that when people go on vacation, planes for people, not
Mm.
RV people, but plane people, planes are really, really dirty. They are really dirty. And there are areas that are much germier than bathrooms. And the plane bathrooms are typically cleaner than the plane seats.
What?
So, oh yeah,
And those things are gross. Like, come on.
and those things are gross. But they get regularly cleaned much more frequently
Uh,
than seats, than tray tables,
ooh.
than armrests, and windows. People copying,
Good
sitting,
point.
touching, eating, people getting air sick, people changing diapers in seats. So, depending on your level of germophobia, um, I mean, like I will actually bring a two-sided baby blanket, like a patterned and, something that I can tell the difference. And
Yeah.
especially with my kids or like if somebody's taking a nap, if I want to lay down, if I need to change a diaper, I will always put one side of the blanket down and touch one side so that I always know which one is dirty, especially in airports if you're having to change kids on the floor or whatever it is that you
Hmm.
need to do. If somebody wants to put their head onto something, I always take something that I know what the clean side is and I put face, hands, body on the clean side. And I think that's really important. But you can't, like, when you get to your seat, wipe it down, especially the tray table. Tray tables don't eat off of them, don't touch them until you wipe them down.
So what do you wipe
So
them
that's
down with?
so I typically do not use alcohol-based cleaners on people, but I do use alcohol-based cleaners on hard surfaces like that.
Okay.
I take a silver spray that I really like, and it's atomized silver. It's what they used to use in hospitals before we had antibiotics. Silver is naturally antimicrobial and antiviral, so I'll usually spray it down with silver, or in a pinch I'll use an alcohol wipe.
Interesting. I've heard of people taking silver in some country group things, but I've never heard of a silver spray. So
Yep,
where do you
you can
find
buy.
something like that?
And you can find it on Amazon. You can find it at any health food store. So
Okay.
I have an Amazon shop. If you can't find it, I've got all this kind of stuff up. But silver spray is great. You can actually spray silver on your body too. They used to use silver topically for wounds and internally for viruses and stuff, and it kills things on the surface. So that's usually my go-to because it does so many different things.
So we do cloth diapers and cloth wipes. I'm assuming it would be safe for me to use with my cloth wipes. Like if I,
Yeah,
okay, because I don't
yeah.
typically, I might bring water wipes on trips. That way I don't have all the dirty laundry, but I
I
typically
love water wipes.
don't.
Water wipes are the best.
we
Yeah,
we
no, I mean,
typically don't, yeah.
you don't even have to wipe it down. Like silver spray, you just kind of spray and let it
Okay.
dry. You don't have to wipe it down.
Oh, okay. Good to know. And so you would do the tray, the window, the armrests.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And maybe the little remote if you guys have a little remote. Probably
Oh yeah, and
wipe
like
that down.
like good long flights that have TVs.
Yes. Those are the ones we take. All right. So I'm putting an order into Amazon today. I'm adding that to the list.
Yeah, my and then the other thing, and then this is like my soapbox about traveling healthy is like I take all my own food. I never get stuck in a situation where I don't have something that is healthy and that I know that I can eat and that I know, especially when we're traveling places that maybe I don't know the origin of the food. Like, I'm never in a situation where I'm going to eat questionable food. Or with kids, my sister was actually just recently on a plane and they were delayed 3 hours on the tarmac and she didn't have any food by the end of it. And she had a very cranky, upset baby. I went to Disney World for a week, couple months ago, and then I had a whole carry-on of food, and everybody made fun of me, and my extended family was all like, "Why are you bringing that much food?" Except for they all wanted to eat my food, and when we ran
Yeah.
out of food or they couldn't find anything they like, and then they were so excited that I had this carry-on full of food. I usually bring enough food for me to eat at least two full meals a day the whole time I'm gone. Like I carry a significant amount of food with me.
Wow. What do you kind of food can you carry though? Because
Oh yeah. Oh no. I've got lots of great hacks for this. I carry beef jerky, like organic grass-fed beef jerky sticks, organic grass-fed turkey jerky. You can even get mushroom jerky if you don't do. Yeah, mushroom jerky is pretty good. I do seaweed snacks. I do single-serve hummus, single-serve avocado because that can go like it's in like the little liquid pack that can go right through. I mean, I do hard-boiled eggs, peas, any kinds of veggies, fruits, bananas, avocado, typically apples. I do single serve nut butter, like whether it's peanut butter or almond butter, to go on everything. And I have a list of this for everybody too, so that you can just download the list, print it off, and and it's broken down whether or not food needs to be cold or hot, or cold
oh,
or not cold.
awesome.
So
Thank you.
yeah, I want everybody to never be stuck in a bus terminal, in traffic, on a plane and not have food again.
Yeah, because that's definitely our problem. Even just day trips, because day trips for us mean usually 3 to 4 hours of just transport, just because of where we live and because we only can take public transportation. It just takes a while to get anywhere for us. And so we're always like hungry. And I feel
Yeah.
like we're then, just budget wise, we're spending more money, or we're eating just junk food just because we're hungry. So some ideas of things that we can take along with us, because I do eat a lot of food that you make and then eat, or you have
Mhm.
to reheat. And so finding these foods that I can eat that would be easy to transport would be a good idea
Yeah.
for sure.
Cheese, super easy, like
Yeah,
cheese sticks.
I do that.
Single serve like hummus and like avocado spread is like a game changer with kids because you can do that with anything, whether it's carrots or chips. We do a ton of fruits and vegetables in chip form. So like beet chips are a big hit in
Hmm.
my family. Apple chips, pear chips, carrot chips, banana chips, like all those kinds of things. Like that can always be in your bag all the time. You never like that is a great emergency backup food. Peanut butter, things like that, also great emergency backup food. I even travel with like single serve butter and ghee and things like that. Like
You're legit.
I am always prepared, but you can too. And we I want to make sure people know that like we do this on a little budget. Like I don't have an infinite budget. Recently somebody was like, "Well, that's great if you have the money for it." Like we do this on a teeny tiny budget. My husband is a youth minister and I don't work. Like we don't have an exponential food budget.
So what do have you done this on an international trip before?
Not with my kids. I have done
Okay.
it for myself, but we have not done it with my kids. The longest that we have done this for with kids would be about 7 hours in the car, and then a weekend, and then 7 hours back. And so we packed enough food for that.
I'm wondering how that could be done, because there are restrictions depending on the country you're going to
Yeah.
about what you
So
can bring.
you can't bring fresh fruits and vegetables typically internationally. Usually you are okay with things that are dehydrated, things
Okay.
like granola and beet chips, things that are sealed. Like we do like individually packed like seaweed snacks and crazy stuff, and all those things are totally fine. But again, like beef jerky, turkey jerky, mushroom jerky, all totally fine to travel internationally. Um, Pretty chips. I mean, we do lots of pita chips and things like that as well that aren't like when I say chips, I don't mean potato chips. I typically mean like, grain-free tortilla chips or pita chips.
Okay. Yeah, I know that I usually would bring some cheese sticks, and like I cut them up off a block of cheese, and some like sausage things, like sausage sticks, because it's actually much harder to find some of those things over here. So if you're in the U.S., you
And
got lots of options.
yeah, well, I mean, so depending on, where things can get shipped to, most of the stuff can be found online, like on Amazon and on some of the bigger retailers. If you want to get like really expert level, a lot of the airlines will let you put frozen liquid. Like you can take frozen liquid because it's not liquid, it's ice. And so I know people who even take like frozen water so that they know that they have safe water. I do individually packed bone broth. I get bone broths and soups that are in those Tetra packs. If you know what I'm talking about, they're like the square, instead of a can, it's like a box.
Okay.
And you can get all kinds of soup, and you can get. I usually have like a tomato soup and a bone broth in my carry-on bag as well.
Interesting. Okay. But just
Yeah,
know
if
people
you're if
that
you're ever stuck on a plane or a train with me, you will be fed.
never gonna go hungry. But just keep in mind, guys, that different airlines, different countries, different rules.
Yeah,
Just check
definitely
your.
check. You always want to check, but typically if it's packed, you're good. So if you're trying to do this like I usually do this on a carry-on, but if you're just trying to get there, that's you can bring, anything as long
Yeah,
as it's
in your
not
luggage. Yeah.
flammable.
Awesome. All right. So, what do you do about picky eater kids, or even adults? Heck, I mean, my husband's way more pickier than even than me. So, how do you manage to do all of this and make sure that your kids are eating healthy when, like, my kid right now is just, he refuses, unless we chop it up super, super tiny, he refuses pretty much all vegetables, all meats. and it breaks my
So,
heart.
so I was a super picky kid. I only ate about 10 food items until I was in my 20s. So this was something that I was really, really passionate about with my kids. For my kids, we started when they were babies. Like
Hmm.
my older daughter, her first food was avocado, which I don't eat, and my younger daughter, her first food was liver.
Oh,
So yeah, we my kids will eat anything because it's just what I did with them. Before they realized that I didn't like something, they were already eating all of it. And usually, if it's on my plate, they're gonna want to eat it. So even things that I don't like, I'll put on my plate and then be like, oh well, you can have some more. It's from my plate. But our biggest win really has been finding different forms of food. Like I said,
okay.
I don't think if I gave my daughter like roasted beets like like she would have loved them. We started with beet chips, and they're really good. There's no I have texture issues with food. I don't
Hmm.
like bananas because
Same.
they're slimy. I don't like avocado because they're slimy. But I can eat banana chips, and I can eat a lot of things that are in dried form. So we did that with our kids where we started with the flavor of the food in a really accessible form, which is dry chip crunchy form. Kids love crunchy. When they start getting teeth, they love to crunch.
Yeah, they do
So
crunch.
seaweed snacks, I'm not a fan of seaweed, but I can eat dried seaweed, sort of. My daughter loves dried seaweed. Like she will come ask for it. She's 3.5 and she loves it. And my 1.5-year-old will eat it too. Because again, it's dried.
Yeah.
There's nothing slimy, nothing weird. So like dehydrated foods are awesome for this because they just kind of melt dehydrated. Strawberries, mangoes, bananas, you can get anything dehydrated. You can get, pineapple chips. You can get all of the things that are really, packed with good nutrients. You can typically cheat it into chip form, and that's been a big help for us. My daughter won't is not a meat eater. She's not a big fan of meat. She actually does like jerky a little bit more than she won't eat meatballs for whatever reason. She's just decided she doesn't want to
Yeah.
eat meatballs. But that's fine. We don't give her meatballs. We give her beef jerky instead.
My
She's
I don't know, my son started what we started with baby led weaning, and he would eat everything. He ate everything. He would even gnaw on a fish head. Like, I mean, we're in Hong Kong, so he would eat everything. And then for a while, because of budget, we went back to carby eating and whatnot. And it was like now he eats nothing. he'll eat he'll eat the fish mush in a stick that they have here, but he won't eat like normal meat and vegetables and things. Like he actually will go "Bleh," and like scrape it off of his tongue. So that's been my big thing. I is just trying to figure out how to get this kid to eat better because he
yeah.
just won't eat. Like he just won't eat.
Well, and
Um,
some of that is just kind of normal kid boundary stuff, although it is frustrating. I mean, really, we just don't. If we find that we're kind of slipping into that, we just stop keeping whatever it is in the house
yeah.
and say,
Well,
"Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have it." Like and
easier when
that
your
works
husband doesn't eat
sometimes.
those foods.
Oh yeah, no, you need to whip them into shape too. You say sorry, or just you need to say sorry. We can't keep it in the house because of our kid. Sorry, honey.
Yeah, when we move into the RV, there's going to be some upheaval of food groups for sure. Just trying to get to that point, I think. It'll be easier when we're not having, like, because right now we have a helper, and so of course she eats her rice and bread and things. And then moving back home, we'll be living with in laws, and they eat all the junk. So I feel like I'm just biding time until it's just me.
Yeah, well, that's when it's like kind of the 90-20 rule where you're like, or 90-20, 80-20 rule where you're like, I can control 80% of this and I just can't control 20% of this.
Yeah. So, okay. I like the chip. I think we'll try the chips for sure because he does like crunch. So I'm thinking that might be a good avenue for him. Never tried beet chips, so we'll try that.
Oh, I love beet chips. They're great.
I hate beets though, so it's that like
There, it's not super bad. I I think that beet chips are a much more accessible way to eat beets than any other way.
Okay. Try that out then. So, any other tips for healthy traveling?
Um, Really, the biggest thing is kind of controlling your environment as much as possible and forethought. You don't want to be stuck in the situation where you are forced to make a decision in regards to bad eating or unhealthy environment or, something like that. So just thinking through what's important to you and your family and whatever you need. If you have somebody who has a compromised immune system or asthma or needs certain kinds of foods or whatever, just making sure that you are prepared. With traveling, especially traveling with kids, you just never know what's going to happen. You get a flat tire, you can get stuck in traffic, you can be on the runway for 6 hours. And so, like, I am always overly prepared when it comes to health.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a terrible packer. I will literally like not have underwear, but I will have I'll have 4 days worth of food and no underwear.
You got priorities.
Seriously, no, I'm not saying that that's happened, but it might have happened. My
I
head's
could just
in one
imagine my
place. I
husband,
can't
like,
help.
his face if I did that. He would just laugh at me hysterically, I think. So, is there any other way besides, of course, food? Because, I mean, what we put into our bodies is obviously going to have a huge effect on us. But besides food, are there any other tips on how to make sure we're kind of being the healthiest we can be when we're traveling?
I mean, as far as traveling, especially overseas, you do want to make sure that you have some sort of plan for emergency when it comes to hospital visits, doctors, medications. Um, you know, a good percentage of families in this country and abroad are on medications. You want to make sure that you have all of your information, all of your prescriber information. You want to have backup medication if it is a life-saving medication. You want to know that where you are going has a pharmacy option available. Should it be like something like diabetes or things like that, making sure that you have a supply and a backup supply. And then you can get health insurance for a single trip. You can get multi-trip overseas health insurance. You can also get expatriate health insurance for many different countries. If you were an American citizen, even if you were citizens of other countries. We have a girl here now from Northern Ireland who has extended health coverage here and did have an emergency. You never ever want to go on a trip, especially if it is an active trip. If you're going skiing somewhere, if you're going hiking somewhere, if you're doing something that is in, kind of a danger category, making sure that you have emergency health coverage, because if you need to be like airlifted out, if you need to be brought back to a country, anything like that can be extremely expensive, like way expensive, that typical health insurance does not cover. And emergency trip health insurance typically does cover significant amounts of that. It's usually like $250,000, $500,000 of like emergency services. I think a lot of people don't think about that when they're traveling, especially with kids. Heaven forbid somebody falls down and breaks an arm like 10 seconds after you land wherever you're going, because that's exactly what's going to happen. And it's typically very cheap and easy to get, and it's just one of those things where it is just better safe than sorry.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't usually think about the insurance as we go, because I mean, even here, like, I never use health insurance really here because we have public health, right? But thinking about as you move around, that looks different everywhere. So that's a good point.
Every country is different, and even countries that have universal health insurance, that doesn't mean that you don't have to pay. And a lot of countries that have universal health coverage or even really good public health, you have to pay a certain amount up front. So definitely check on every country that you go to, and making sure that if you get injured as an expatriate, as somebody who is, or as a visitor, that you would be covered and that you are not liable up front. And if for some reason you are keeping all those records, but especially with any kind of medication or kids, if you have an allergy, things like that, making sure you've got backups of all of those kinds of medication and health records. If you have anybody with a significant medical condition, there's just have a copy on your phone of
Yeah.
health records.
And a printed copy somewhere in case your phone is.
Well, it's printed copy separate, but yeah, definitely you like as you always want to have something that in an emergency you can just
Yeah.
have accessibly.
Well, and a lot of phones, I know like on iPhone, you actually have a medical thing now so that
Mhm.
you can actually input all of the, some people don't even know it exists, but you can input all of your information and emergency workers, first responders know, how to get into those. So definitely have that available. Keep that updated. I think that actually brings us into my next topic really, really well. Being ill while traveling. So, of course, one of the biggest fears people have before they go on vacation or start traveling is getting sick because, as we said, that happens a lot. The letdown effect. I mean, no one wants to get stuck in a hotel room when they've spent all this money and time prepping for their lifetime trip. So, what are some ways we can help ourselves manage illness while we're traveling? We looked at how to help prevent it. How can we manage it if it happens?
Well, I mean, the first thing is you want to pay attention to the illness. You don't want to kind of put it on the back burner, wait till you get home. Heaven forbid you be in the middle of a flight or on a boat or somewhere and you get significantly sicker. If you're having symptoms, you do want to get it checked out. If you're in the United States or you're in wherever you are based, obviously, that is much easier because you can typically call your provider or your health insurance carrier and find a local person to you. Especially with if you have health insurance of some kind or a national health service, you can typically call and get a provider near you or emergency services near you. Also, hotels, travel agencies that you've booked through, cruises, things like that, should have a preferred doctor or somebody on site or someone that they can send you to. They will often have like concierge doctors and things. Those can be really expensive, but is good in an emergency. What you want to kind of avoid is just walking into a hospital or a walk-in clinic that you are unfamiliar with or that you haven't kind of gotten more information about because you just never know. There may be a better option or a safer option or something. If you are overseas and you are significantly ill and you can't get a good answer, call consulate, call whoever is in charge of your citizenship there. They can usually direct you, and they're going to be the ones kind of in charge, anyways. You should, if you have a medical condition, making sure that you have those backup medications, taking all of that. And it's really more about people really will put off seeking treatment until they're somewhere that they're comfortable with. And that is usually when you kind of get into trouble. That's when you end up with, an emergency in the air or what have you, because people will put it off because they don't want to be seen. If you are in doubt, you should always be seen. That's just regardless of where you are, and as much as it's no fun.
And just for people, you think of going to these, especially third world countries or developing countries like maybe India or Thailand or whatnot, and you think they're gonna have seriously subpar medical systems and whatnot. But the truth is they actually have really sometimes high end medical,
Yeah.
like they are, people go there, they have like medifications where they
Yeah.
go and get medical things done and it's like super high end. So
Absolutely.
don't think that just because you're in a third world country or developing country that you can't get your medical needs provided or that it's not as good. Do some research ahead of time, because there are some places you want to know where the good places are, like she said, but don't feel like you have to get back to the US to have, or UK or wherever you're from, to have adequate health, because a lot of
Yeah, and
times
that's
you
when
can actually have a really good one.
yeah, and you make a phone call or two typically if it's, if you are on a trip that is, you know, if you've booked it through someone or you are in contact with the consulate, like that's what these people are there for. If maybe you just need to call your hotel or you need to call, the taxi driver that dropped you off. People are going to want to help you and they're going to tell you, where to go and where not to go. And there are always places to go and not to go no matter where you are.
That's right. That's very true. But the point is, do it before you get on an airplane, because
Do it
then
before
you're
you get
lack
on
of
an airplane.
options.
Absolutely. I will tell you, when I was working as a nurse, we had a guy who was getting on a cruise, and he had been sick, and he had lab results called in, and he had actually just been on a mission trip, and we got lab results called in that he had an extremely contagious and very scary bacteria, and we were making like crazy phone calls trying to find him to stop him from getting on a cruise ship with thousands of people for hours, and we were able to do that. But like, you just you want to get symptoms taken care of before you're in a place that you can't get symptoms taken care of.
And let's protect everyone else, because remember, an airplane is regurgitated air.
Yes, let's take care of everybody else before you get on a cruise ship and you're stuck on a boat.
Yes. Good point. So is there anything else that you have in mind for healthy traveling before we move on to our last questions?
I don't think so, unless you have any more questions for me.
No, I don't think, not particularly right now. Maybe as we get closer to the time.
Okay.
As I get closer, we might have to hit you up. All right. So these are the questions that I like to ask everybody, just to kind of get their viewpoint on it. But first, I want to know, what is on the agenda for you next? What's on the agenda for your travels, for your business, your big move? What are you doing next?
Yeah, so next, our big travel is our move. We are moving 800 miles. We will be packing up, putting everything in a U-Haul, and driving 2 small children and everything that we own from Nashville to just south of New York City.
Oh, wow. And why are you guys moving there, if you don't mind me asking?
My husband is in grad school now, and he's graduating, and he is starting another grad program. So he's going to Princeton in New Jersey. So it's just south of New York.
He sounds like my one friend here, her husband, who also is a pastor as well, but he goes and gets one degree and gets another degree and gets another degree. Not even necessarily anything related to being a pastor or a missionary or anything like that. Just getting his like art degrees and this and that, and constant learner. So I feel you. And you said you're looking forward to some train travel, like day trips and things. What's your idea on that? Doing
a lot of, so I've lived all over the country. I was born in Chicago. I lived in the Midwest. I lived in Los Angeles. I've been in Nashville for many years. I've lived all over the place, but I've never lived on the East Coast of the United States. And I'm super excited to be in a place with accessible trains and public transportation that go all over the Eastern Seaboard. So we are looking at so we'll be in Princeton, New Jersey, which is the midway point between New York City and Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. And we also will have easy access to Connecticut, to Amish country, to upstate New York.
To Boston.
Yes. I mean, I'm so excited about the idea of putting the girls on a train and being able to go apple picking or go see the Liberty Bell and go to Broadway. And my best friends live in New York City, so we'll be going all over the place. I've been doing a lot of Amtrak research.
I used to live in Philadelphia, and my mother lived in the north of Pennsylvania. And so I would often take the train to a certain point, and then she would come and pick me up because that was the easiest way of doing it. But train travel is fun. It's way better than plane travel. For sure.
You can stand up and walk around.
Exactly. And they're bigger seats usually. So, and you get food cars and all sorts of things. So have fun with that. I can't wait to see all of your pictures and things as you guys do that, and have safe travel with that for sure.
Thank
Now,
you.
what do you hope your kids will learn from traveling?
Oh, I think traveling is just the way that you learn to be kind and empathetic, and you learn that everyone is the same. And I think the more that you see other people and other cultures, the more you learn what being a human is all about. And so I am just an avid traveler for that reason. I think that experiencing the world is so important to kids because it makes them understand that the world is bigger than them, but it's amazing and beautiful and wonderful and like just so incredibly made. So I like people keep asking me if I'm worried about moving my kids. Like I moved a ton growing up. Like I said, I lived all over the country, and I think it was the best thing that ever happened to me. It was, it's always hard to leave a place and go to a new
Yeah.
place, but it's so much knowledge, and just knowledge is never bad. So I'm thrilled for my kids.
I agree. I moved a lot as a kid as well, and and as an adult, I think I've actually moved more. So it's something that you understand things better sometimes. Like you see things differently than those who are just used to their one spot.
Yeah.
All right. So what does getting to travel with your family mean to you?
I love being a part of watching my kids discover things, and being a family unit is really important to me. I think when we went to Mammoth Cave and we're somewhere that there was no cell phone service and there were no TVs and there was just nothing else to do, and my kids were so excited about nature in a way that they never had been before, and I got to see that. And my daughter has a shockingly good memory. I mean, she still talks about, that we heard an owl and that the owl went to sleep and we saw a deer.
Oh,
And she loved that experience so much. And so realizing that we just could slow down was so amazing and empowering. And I like being a family unit. I like doing stuff with my family. And I think a lot of people forget that.
yeah. We get overwhelmed by the day to day sometimes. It helps us slow down for sure. All right. So one piece of advice to families looking to travel more. What's that one?
Oh, do it. I think, especially if you're afraid because of age, age should never get in the way of travel. Like my kids are way better when I travel. Not necessarily while they're strapped into the car seat, but when we are out doing new things, they learn so much faster. They have huge leaps, and they are just so engaged in the world in a way that they're not when we're stuck at our house all the time. Like you're never going to regret taking a trip.
Yeah. Agreed. And they're not going to be as bored. You have to sometimes
No.
just manage what your expectations are, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So where can people connect or find out more about you and going crunchy? I can't speak. Not crazy.
Well, that is my name everywhere. So it's goingcrunchy.notcrazy.com or on Instagram at goingcrunchy.notcrazy. And I have my podcast is also the same name, where I talk about the science of the weird, crazy things that I do. And you can, if you go to goingcrunchy.notcrazy.com/travel, you can download my guide to eating healthy while you're on the road. So
And you
that's
have
where
a
you can
book
find me.
coming out, don't you? Or an
So
ebook or
I have an ebook that just launched, and it's free as well. It's all about the gut, about gut health and the microbiome and the science behind our good bacteria and how to eat to support our good bugs that help us so much. And so that can be found on my website as well.
awesome. And we will have all the links in the show notes. So don't you worry. You don't have to memorize everything. Just go to the show notes and you will find any link that you need to her website or Instagram or all of that, so you can stay
Yeah.
connected with Megan.
And I'll give you the link to my Amazon store too if you're like, what can I pack to eat?
Definitely. All right. Thank you so much, Megan, for joining us. And I think that's something that will help a lot of parents out, because food while traveling and just being healthy while traveling is always a big worry. It's always something that people are concerned about. And I really hope that if you are listening to this and you want to be healthier, you have maybe chronic pain as well, go and check out Megan's coaching sessions. She has some really great coaching sessions that she can guide you through this process, so you're not doing it alone, because it can be overwhelming for sure. So go check it out. Again, the link will be in the show notes. So again,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening there.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I love this interview with Megan, and I learned so much, and I'm definitely going to have to hit her up when we start renovating the RV. I know that I'm going to be able to get a lot of tips from her and get some feedback about some of the ideas that I'm having to make sure that the home that I'm planning on spending years in with my children, or my child and my husband, is the healthiest that it can be. I mean, we're trying to be healthier, and our living environment is definitely a big part of it. So if you are interested in making sure your home is healthier, make sure you go to her website, goingcrunchy.notcrazy.com, and hit her up for one of her coaching sessions. And don't forget, I also do coaching, but mine is completely different. So if you want to travel more with your family, then I am here for you. I help you really look at your finances. I look at your parenting, your lifestyle in general, and the goals that you have for traveling. And I help you come up with a plan so that you can live the travel life of your dreams. So make sure that you go to thisindulgentlife.com/14, and you'll find all the links to her coaching, my coaching, her Instagram, and anything else that we've talked about today in there. So thank you so much again. And don't forget, if you haven't already, I really need you to do this one small favor for me. I know it's actually a really big favor, but could you please leave an honest rating and review in iTunes, and leave a comment if you're listening on YouTube, so that I really know what you like and don't like, and so iTunes can promote this. We want people to want to travel more with their family and to know that it's possible. And the only way to do that is through subscribing, listening to the episodes, and leaving honest rating and review. So thank you so much. Join us next time. It's for a solo show. Well, actually, it'll be a co-hosted show with my husband, where we will be talking about our experience not only moving our dogs from the US to Hong Kong, but going back again to the US. It has been an adventure for sure, and it's one that a lot of people are surprised that we have done, to bring 2 large dogs over to Hong Kong. So we will be discussing that. So make sure you've subscribed so it automatically downloads to your device. See you soon.